Hey, this is Gabriel from bestguitareffects.com. I'm going to show you the Strymon BigSky multi-dimensional reverberator. I'm going to focus on showing you the different features of this pedal and how easy it is to use. First of all, here's my clean guitar sound. I'm actually using the dedicated cab filter through a studio monitor. And without the cab filter, my guitar sounds like this. Dull and kind of lifeless. And then with the cab filter, so it sounds really nice even without an amp. And you can also use this with distortion pedals for this kind of sound. So if you have some dirt pedals, you can get some cool sounds. Here's what it sounds like without the cab filter. Really brittle, harsh, not pleasing. You definitely don't want to do something like that. But when you have some cool distortion pedals, you can get some cool amp-like response. So that's really, really neat. But we're going to use clean sounds for the most part. It sounds really good. And to pick your preset, you can scroll through the banks by pushing two of the buttons at once. To go up, the left two buttons will go down. When you get to the bank you want, just push the foot switch and you load up the preset. So we're going to start with just the factory presets here, and I'm going to go through 12 of the different reverb machines and show you a few things you can do. So here's the room reverb. Let's push up the mix a bit so you can hear that more. More of the wet signal. And the room reverb machine has two different size options. You have studio and club. Studio sounds like this. Club, a little bit bigger. And you can crank the decay on this reverb machine to get some really, really big sounds. So you can do some very big ambience stuff with just this machine alone. And it also has a freeze and infinite sustain function activated by pushing the preset foot switch. So let's hear how that sounds. Pretty cool. And you have modulation, so you can add some movement to your reverbs. Let's hear how that sounds. Well, first of all, without modulation. And then with the modulation, let's crank it. Sounds really nice. Let's check out the next preset. We're going to just turn the value knob and go to the next preset, preset B, and that's the hall reverb. Again, let's push up the mix a bit. So it's a bit bigger. Just right off the bat, let's crank the decay. Let's push up the mod. Sounds really nice. And the hall reverb has a bit more tone shaping control. You can use the tone knob as you can with all the other reverb machines, and you also can shape the low end and you can shape the mid-range. So you have a lot of tone shaping power. And let's go ahead and go to the next reverb machine, plate. Let's get some volume on there. So this offers traditional plate style reverbs. You got two sizes, small and large. And you can crank the decay quite a bit on this reverb, making it absolutely huge. And of course you can adjust the tone and the low end which on traditional plate reverbs, you would have to EQ them externally through a mixing board or just however. So you have a lot more tone shaping flexibility with this reverb machine. Let's check out the spring reverb. Using the dwell control will help you dial in your sound. That's the clean sound. The combo sound gives you more of a spring reverb, kind of like traditional combo amps. Then you can get a tube sound. It's a little dirty, kind of metallic. And then you can overdrive it, really crank it up. Let's crank the mod too. And push the mix up. There's some really interesting metallic sounds. Very interesting. Swell. This gives you some volume swell-like reverb tones. Let's get the mix up. The rise time is useful if you're playing really fast single note passages. Bring that down a bit. You can make it much longer for more ambient passages. There's something else interesting you can do. Let's hit the value knob and go into the parameters. You can go into the mode. Let's push the value knob, turn the parameter 1. Now we can adjust the swell for the whole wet signal or just or the dry. So let's see, when you have it set to wet, that swells everything. Oh, I'm sorry, hold on. Let's see. Swelling just the wet signal. Let's push that up quite a bit. That way you can have your reverb kind of fade in behind your playing. And then swell. Everything. Very cool ambient reverb sounds. And the bloom is similar in that it has a nice blooming reverb, similar to how the swell kind of swells and blooms in its own way. Let's see what else you can do in this one. The length and feedback. Let's go ahead and make sure those are set to the parameter knobs. Push in, turn the knob, and then let's go to feedback, push the button, turn parameter 2, and you instantly set those two functions to these two knobs. So you can push up the length, push up the feedback, let's crank the decay. Some really huge ambient reverbs with this pedal. Let's check out the cloud setting. This machine's really cool. There aren't that many parameters to this one. but one of the most useful is the diffusion. So you can sort of wash out your sound a bit. And if you turn it all the way down, you get some grain-like sounds. Some little artifacts. Really nice. I like that one a lot. Let's check out the chorale. This setting is really interesting. It produces vocal-like effects. You can turn up the resonance to make the vocal effect more pronounced. And let's go through all the vowel settings real quick. Some very unique timbres with that setting. I really like the chorale reverb. The shimmer. The shimmer has two pitch-shifted voices that you can use that will color your reverb really nicely. Let's program those to the two parameter knobs real quick. So let's go into the parameters menu. Shift 1, we'll push the button, turn this knob, and let's go over to Shift 2, push the button, turn the knob. Really easy. So let's take this one all the way up to +2 octaves, and then we'll leave this one down on +1 octave. Let's have an octave fifth. Yeah, actually, you know what? Let's leave this one on 1 octave. You can get chorus-like effects too, +10 cents on this one, -10 cents over here. Some really deep sounds. Let's bring that to -1 octave. Let's put this to a perfect fifth. Really cool. Let's check out the Magneto. This is one of my favorite reverb machines. You can make the diffusion really loose. We can tighten it up. Loose. Kind of smooths out the response. But I really like it tight. Tight gives you really cool delay-like effects. Let's see. Let's go into the menu here. There's some really interesting stuff you can do with this. You can change the setting of the heads, and you can change the spacing. So you can have even and uneven spacing, and then you can have 3, 4, or 6 delay heads. So let's hear how this sounds straight with 4 heads. Let's turn the delay time down. And then 6. And then 3. And then when you change the spacing to uneven, you get some cool rhythm effects. Six heads. And I really like the 3. Let's dial in some precise tuning there. Anytime you have the milliseconds displayed over here on the digital display, you can use the value knob to fine-tune your timing, which is really useful. So the magneto is pretty awesome for some really cool rhythmic delays. I really like that one. That's a real gem. Let's see, the nonlinear. This is really cool for some very ambient, unorthodox delay effects. Let's see what we have here. Diffusion, and then the level. Let's leave that alone. Where was the setting? Okay, let's go into the parameters real quick. Diffusion, shape. This is where things get more interesting. You have, I think, 6 different shapes available. Bounce, Gauss, gate, ramp, reverse, swoosh. Yeah, that had a very swooshing-like effect. Let's try ramp. The effects are very subtle. You're not noticing it probably too much because you really need to go into the different parameters to bring out the best of this particular machine. I do like the bounce. It's very easy to use. It just gives you a nice pulse of reverb behind what you're playing. And of course you can dial in the timing on that with the various parameters available. Let's check the last machine real quick. This is another one of my favorites. The Reflections gives you a psycho-acoustically modeled reverb room effect, and it sounds really good. And one of the most unique features of this reverb is the ability to position your amp anywhere in this virtual room. You can set it to the front or back, and then let's go to the value real quick. Location Y. Which one is that? Oh, that is front and back. So let's see here. Location X. That will give you the left and right position. So if you're playing in stereo or you're doing some mixing, you can position your sound source anywhere in the mix, from the left to right to the front and back. So we're going to leave that centered. And in the front, it sounds like this. And that's just with default settings on everything else. Let's put it around the middle. Let's put it towards the back. Let's put it all the way. Let's crank up the decay. Let's mix that up a bit. And that's it. That's all 12 of the reverb machines. That's just a little quick sneak peek. You can really dig into the BigSky and do a lot with this pedal. Check it out, the Strymon BigSky multi-dimensional reverberator.